Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. General Hospital, GH, spoilers for Tuesday, February 24th, reveal that Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, will discover that a risky scenario may be even more dangerous than he imagined. Lucas Jones Van Hansis will also bring some troubling news to Britt Westbourne, Kelly Thibault, while Jen Sidwell, Carlo Rota, questions Marco Rios, Adrian Anchondo. At the Quartermaine home, Brooklyn Quartermaine, Amanda Setton, will question Harrison Chase, Josh Swickard, about his actions. Chase will swear he didn't put the key on Michael Corinthos' Rory Gibson keychain, but he may say he checked the keys at Drew Kane's Cameron Matheson house and discovered one that worked. According to Tuesday's preview video, Brooklyn will ask Chase if it's truly worth it. Brooklyn may worry if Chase is actually willing to sacrifice his profession and endanger the adoption for his obsession with bringing Michael down. Meanwhile, Ross Cullum, Andrew Hawk, will question Jason and even throw some threats around. Jason will eventually end up at Jack Brennan's, Chris McKenna, office, which will provide Brennan with an opportunity to raise additional concerns. Are you suggesting this guy is dangerous to her? Jason inquires in Tuesday's preview clip. Jason is already aware that Cullum poses a threat to Britt, but he may be concerned about Jocelyn Jacks, Eden McCoy, or Carly Spencer, Laura Wright next. Sidwell will sit Marco down for an uncomfortable chat in Windermere, asking if Lucas has become aware of anything he should not be. Will Marco lie and claim Lucas knows nothing, or will he try to seem like he has handled the situation? In any case, Sidwell's attempt to extract the truth from Marco may serve as a loyalty test following his conversation with Pascal, Mark Forget. At GH, Lucas will surprise Britt by saying Marco told him everything. Britt may advise Lucas that he no longer understands the amount of risk involved because he knows too much. Nonetheless, Lucas will learn another vital piece of information on Tuesday's broadcast. Could that be about cold fusion, Cullum's collaboration with Sidwell, Jocelyn's WSB status, or something else? Regardless, Lucas will surprise Britt by insisting that they can't leave Sidwell until he gets her out. Britt will undoubtedly be taken aback by Lucas' willingness to risk his life for her. Lucas will finally return to Windermere, where Sidwell and Marco will be waiting to talk to him. If Sidwell receives confirmation that Lucas has learnt more than anticipated, he may inquire whether they can rely on him to keep silent. Jordan Ashford, Tanisha Harper, will learn that ADA Justine Turner, Nazanin contractor, may be falling for Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard. Jordan may become disturbed when he hears about Justine's kiss with Sonny. If given the chance, Jordan will question if Justine will hesitate to prosecute Sonny. Justine may assert that she is still the master manipulator and that she has the upper hand, but some genuine emotions may be boiling up. Jordan acknowledges that Sonny may care about Justine, but she warns that this might change if ADA Turner comes in his way. While Jordan advises Justine not to get in over her head, Sonny also opens out to Rick Lansing, Rick Hurst. Rick may learn about the smooch and how close Sonny is to Justine, but he may also have concerns. Are you sure she isn't attempting to play you? Rick asks Sonny in Tuesday's preview video. Across town, Lulu Spencer, Alexa Havens-Bruning, appears hesitant to pursue a romantic relationship with Nathan West, Ryan Pavey. Although Maxie Jones, Kirsten Storms, chose Damian Spinelli, Bradford Anderson, things remain tricky. Will Nathan persuade Lulu that they should take advantage of this opportunity to follow their hearts? General Hospital spoilers indicate that Lulu and Nathan will have a lot to sort out, so stay tuned. In Port Charles's mysterious underbelly, anxiety had been rising like a storm over the bay, where secrets rarely remained hidden for long. Jason Morgan strolled through the streets with his customary calm focus, eyes scanning every turn, as if expecting trouble to arise from the fog blowing in off the water. He had always relied on instincts honed over years of survival, and right now those instincts warned that something was moving in the perilous web that surrounded Britt Westbourne. Britt, the smart but troubled doctor whose life had been turned upside down by her Huntington's disease diagnosis and the harsh demands of those holding her medication hostage, had been driving him away with growing desperation. Every cutting remark and chilly glance she directed at him felt like a plea covered in armor. Jason knew better than to accept anything at face value. She got caught up in a conspiracy hatched by Jen Sidwell, the calculating operator who had transformed Spoon Island's Windmere into a stronghold of coercion and hidden labs. Jason had pieced together fragments: Britt's forced participation in some high-stakes project, whispers of cold fusion or experimental tech that could change everything if it fell into the wrong hands, and Sidwell's collaboration with Ross Cullum, a man whose name alone carried the weight of veiled threats and mob-adjacent power plays. Jason had addressed Britt before, pleading for the truth in quiet moments away from prying eyes, but she always resisted, suggesting he stay out for his own good. It simply strengthened his resolve. He couldn't walk away, not when he saw the terror lurking beneath her resistance. Today, that determination hardened into what felt like a final alarm bell clanging in his head. He had learned something new, perhaps from an overheard discussion or a tip from a hesitant source, that had elevated the threat beyond his expectations. Britt was not only in danger of losing her freedom and health, the entire operation had become more explosive, with Cullum closing closer and Sidwell tightening his grasp. Jason discovered Sonny Corinthos in the low light of the penthouse, the air dense with cigar smoke and unsaid concerns. Sonny leaned back in his chair, eyeing Jason with his usual blend of confidence and concern. "What's got you looking like the world's about to end?" Sonny questioned, his voice low. Jason did not waste words. He said it plainly. Britt's position had deteriorated. Sidwell and his cronies were pressuring her to push everyone away, including him, in order to divert attention away from the broader picture. She's scared, Sonny. Not just for herself. They're using her condition against her, dangling the meds like a noose. And now Cullum's involved deeper. If we don't move soon, this blows up bigger than we can contain. Sonny massaged his jaw while contemplating. He was fighting his own battles, threats to his family and empire, but Jason's loyalty to Britt drew him in deeper. "You think she's worth the risk?" Sonny inquired. Jason held his gaze steady. "She's family in her own way. And she's drowning." The talk dragged on, considering alternatives, alliances, and probable consequences. Jason's danger alarm was more than simply words. It was a call to action, indicating that the time for lurking in the shadows had passed. He would extract her, at any cost. Meanwhile, across town at General Hospital, Lucas Jones paced the corridor outside Britt's office as fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Lucas had never shied away from conflict when it came to individuals he cared about, even if their histories were tangled. His relationship with Marco Rios had begun with optimism and fire, but it had recently deteriorated into distrust. Marco's late nights, his evasions, the way he tensed whenever Sidwell's name was mentioned, all pointed to a truth Lucas didn't want to confront. Then came the moment that altered everything. Lucas overheard a discussion he wasn't supposed to hear. Marco and Sidwell, their voices low but clear, discussed Britt's role, the project, and the leverage. Worse, they mentioned Carly, Jocelyn, and even hinted at larger targets. Lucas's blood had gone cold. Marco, had subsequently said, tearfully, that he was trapped in his father's world, attempting to protect Lucas by keeping him in the dark. But the harm had been done. Lucas couldn't unknow what he knew, and he couldn't watch Britt suffer. He discovered her in a quiet exam room, charts scattered, and her face pallid from the strong illumination. Britt looked up, shocked and scared. "Lucas, this isn't a good time." He slammed the door behind him and leaned against it, as if to block out the outside world. "Marco told me everything," he stated calmly, despite the tremble in his palms. Britt's eyes widened as the color drained more. She sprang up hastily, scratching the chair. "What do you mean, everything?" Lucas drew closer. "The lab on Spoon Island. The work you're being forced to do. Sidwell holding your meds over your head. Marco's part in it all." Britt's voice cracked. She had battled so hard to keep this contained and protect people she still cared about from the consequences. Jason was one thing. He was built for danger. But Lucas? Lucas was a doctor and healer, not a fighter. "You don't understand," she said passionately. "Now that you know, you're a liability. Sidwell doesn't leave loose ends." If he finds out you overheard, he sighed. I'm not walking away. We can't get away from Sidwell until I get you out. You're not doing this alone anymore. Britt stared at him, split between thankfulness and horror. She told him again. The risks were terrible, and the stakes were enormous. Lucas' resolve, however, was silent and ferocious, mirroring Jason's. He worried her with his tenacity, sowing the seeds of a potential collaboration. Two doctors, formerly enemies, are now bound by a common peril. She didn't agree explicitly, but a fracture in her seclusion had appeared. Windermere's ancient stone walls appeared to absorb sound and heighten suspicion. Jens Sidwell sat across from his son Marco in the dimly lit study, a fire crackling on the hearth like a warning. Sidwell's eyes, sharp and unwavering, were fixated on Marco. Lucas, he remarked simply, his name hanging heavily. Marco shifted, uncomfortably. What about him? Sidwell asked, leaning forward. Has he become aware of things he shouldn't? Marco paused, the loyalty test revealed. Sidwell had always required complete fealty and tested it in subtle and harsh ways. Marco adored Lucas, but blood connections and survival instincts drove them apart. Sidwell sought for specifics about discussions, overheard statements, and indicators of skepticism. Marco attempted to deflect, stating Lucas was clueless and preoccupied with his work at the hospital. But Sidwell was not fooled. He had built his empire on reading people, spotting cracks in facades. If your boyfriend knows even a fraction of what we're doing here, Sidwell remarked coldly, he becomes a problem. And problems get solved. Marco's face stiffened. This was the ultimate loyalty test. Choose between family legacy and personal affection. Sidwell observed, calculating. Will Marco protect Lucas, or will he compromise to safeguard the operation? The air was dense with unsaid menace. Sidwell did not need to raise his voice. The inference was obvious. Betrayal will not be allowed. Marco left the room frightened, torn between alerting Lucas and maintaining the delicate balance. Sidwell stayed sat, peering into the flames and making plans for contingencies. Loyalty was not freely given in his society. Rather, it was extracted, tested, and, if necessary, broken. Back in Port Charles, the strands of their lives became entwined in perilous ways. Jason's alert had spread, affecting Sunny and possibly others in their group. He walked with purpose now, gathering information and planning escape routes for Britt. Jason knew Cullum would face him shortly, probing for flaws, but he relished in conflict. His danger instinct had never let him down before. At the hospital, Lucas and Britt's chat lasted in low tones, with possibilities emerging. Could they sabotage the project from the inside? Could Lucas smuggle medications and buy time? Britt's concern over his engagement was balanced with a glimmer of hope. She had pushed Jason away to protect him, but Lucas now provided a new type of lifeline, one from someone who understood medicine, vulnerability, and the human cost. Sidwell's evaluation of Marco hung over everything like a sword. If Marco failed, if he chose love over duty, the implications would be disastrous, possibly jeopardizing Lucas directly and forcing Jason's hand earlier. Jason's danger alert was not paranoia. Rather, it was clarity. Britt's life, Lucas' safety, Marco's soul, and Sidwell's empire are all precariously balanced. In Port Charles, devotion was currency, and danger was a regular companion. As night settled over the city, each participant moved toward the collision, motivated by love, fear, and the unstoppable pull of survival. The storm was not coming. It had already arrived, and no one would escape unscathed. The rain began shortly after dark, thin and whispering at first, then steady enough to turn the lights along Harbor Avenue into streaks of gold and red. Jason sat on the hood of his car, across the street from Sidwell Tech's glass front offices, with his phone flashing in his hand. He'd been monitoring the building for an hour, long enough to convince himself he was being overly neurotic. Then he spotted Lucas. Lucas Britt went out of the rotating doors, coat collar raised and phone clamped to his ear. He paused under the overhang, looking left and right in an uncharacteristic manner. Jason straightened. Lucas was not meant to be here tonight. The quarterly board meeting had ended hours earlier, and Britt despised staying late. Jason's phone vibrated. Unknown number. He gazed at it before responding. Yeah. A pause. The hiss of static. Are you still watching him? Jason tightened his grip. He recognized the voice, distorted, low-pitched, but familiar. Sidwell. Why would you care? Jason asked. Because if Lucas follows through with this, everything will burn. Including you. The connection went dead. Across the street, Lucas ended his call and began walking down the sidewalk, away from his usual chauffeur and the parking structure. Jason grumbled under his breath and climbed into his car, keeping his headlights turned off as he eased into traffic. 3 blocks later, Lucas ducked into an alley near an abandoned cafe. Jason parked at the corner and continued on foot, the rain soaking through his jacket. He arrived in the alley just in time to witness Lucas deliver a small black drive to someone wearing a hoodie sweater. Jason's heart pounded. That drive looked exactly like the encryption prototype Sidwell had been working on for months. Jason had helped design it. Britt. Jason exclaimed before he could control himself. Both figures froze. Lucas' eyes expanded. Jason. The cloaked figure bolted, splashing over puddles before disappearing onto the street beyond. What are you doing here? Lucas demanded, his wrath blazing too fast across his face. I could ask you the same thing, Jason responded. What was on that drive? Nothing to worry about, Jason said, taking a step closer. You're giving SIDWELL'S tech to a ghost in an alley, and it doesn't bother me? Lucas' jaw stiffened. For a single second, guilt flashed across his features. Then it was gone. Be careful, he whispered gently. You have no idea what's going on. Then tell me. Lucas looked toward the alley's mouth. You shouldn't have come here tonight, Jason. Before Jason could react, a black SUV skidded to a halt on the curb. The passenger door flew open. Sidwell stepped outside. He no longer resembled the voice on the phone. Instead, he wore a fitted coat and maintained cool composure. Water poured down his gray hair, but his stare was piercing and biting. Interesting, Sidwell replied softly. A reunion in the rain. Lucas stiffened. Sir. Jason felt heat rise in his chest. You knew. Sidwell's gaze flickered between them. I suspected. Lucas has been restless. He turned to face him. I've been loyal for 15 years. And tonight? Sidwell inquired. The question hung as heavy as the rain. Jason gazed at Lucas. Tell him. Lucas clenched his fist. You promised transparency. Instead, you intend to sell the encryption concept to the Defense Department without alerting the rest of us. Sidwell did not deny this. It's business. It's weaponization, Lucas retorted. Jason blinked. What? Sidwell's attention shifted to Jason. The model you created can secure information. Or dismantle it. Governments sense opportunity. Jason's stomach plummeted. He knew the code was powerful. He hadn't realized this. Lucas made a step forward. I was preventing a mistake. Giving our proprietary technology to a competitor? Sidwell inquired gently. I was securing leverage. The rain fell harder, pounding against metal bins and pavement. Jason felt like he was seeing 2 tectonic plates collide. Sidwell folded his hands behind his back. Then let us simplify this. Lucas, did you hand over the entire prototype? Lucas paused. That hesitation was sufficient. Sidwell's eyes tightened. That was your loyalty test. Silence fell between them. Jason frowned. Loyalty test. Sidwell gazed at him. The disk Lucas gave away had merely a tracer. No usable code. I needed to know if anyone in my close circle was willing to betray the corporation. Lucas's face turned pale. You set me up? I gave you the opportunity, Sidwell corrected. You chose. Jason felt a mix of emotions, relief that the drive was empty, rage at the deceit, and an unpleasant knowledge that Sidwell had arranged the whole thing. You called me, Jason replied softly. You wanted me here. Sidwell's gaze remained fixed. You are observant. And conflicted. I wanted a witness to what? Jason asked. To character. Lucas laughed cruelly. So, what happens now? You fired me? Dragged me to court. Sidwell studied him, rain streaming down his cheeks like unfelt tears. That depends on you. On me. You thought I was compromising our integrity. Instead of approaching me directly, you went outside the company. You never listen, Lucas responded. Sidwell lowered his voice. Loyalty is not the same as obedience. It's trust under pressure. You didn't trust me. Jason intervened before the dispute became heated. Enough. Both men gazed at him. If this technology is really going to be weaponized, Jason remarked, then we're arguing about the wrong thing. Sidwell's demeanor changed, slightly interested. Go on. Lucas believed he was safeguarding something greater than profit. You believe you are safeguarding the firm. What if you're both correct? Lucas shakes his head. It doesn't work like that. Maybe it should. Jason turned to face Sidwell. If this encryption paradigm has dual-purpose capabilities, shouldn't there be safeguards? Oversight. Sidwell maintained a close watch on him. Are you proposing? There is a medium ground. Call a full board meeting before anything is sold. Full disclosure. Let's assess the ethical consequences. Create limits in the software, hard-coded limitations. If governments desire it, they will accept the terms. Lucas looked at Jason. Do you believe they will agree to limitations? They might if the alternative is to lose access entirely, Jason remarked. Sidwell's eyes narrowed, thoughtfully. What if they refuse? Then we walk, Jason replied. The statement astounded even him. Sidwell examined his face, assessing his level of conviction. You created this technology. Exactly. The rain slowed to a drizzle, as if the storm was waiting. Finally, Sidwell spoke. Lucas, if I restore you, conditional on transparency going forward, would you commit to internal resolution before external action? Lucas paused, pride battling practicality. If transparency is real. Sidwell nodded once. It will be. Jason exhaled a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. But Lucas wasn't done. Why him? He inquired, nodding to Jason. Why call him tonight? Sidwell curled his lips slightly. Because Jason still believes in the company. Jason felt the impact of that comment. Belief. It was not blind allegiance. It was not disobedience. There was hope that something powerful could be utilized properly. You scare me, Jason said. Sidwell merely smiled. Good. At the end of the alley, headlights flashed, and the driver of the black SUV leaned out eagerly. Sidwell checked his watch. I'll arrange an emergency meeting tomorrow, he said. No more tests. Lucas' voice softened. Sidwell hesitated. You should have trusted us. Trust is earned over time, Lucas. Not assumed. He turned and approached the SUV. Jason watched him leave, and then looked at Lucas. You really thought you were doing the right thing. I did, Lucas responded gently. Maybe I still do. Jason put a hand on his shoulder. Fight for it tomorrow. Inside the room. Lucas inhaled softly. Do you think he will keep his word? He needs us, Jason explained. That's leverage. They emerged from the alley together, the rain-soaked streets reflecting the city's restless glow. As they approached the sidewalk, Lucas came to a halt. You realized what he was doing faster than I did. Jason shrugged faintly. I just listened.